Hello, my friends. How fluent are you in body language? I know we've all heard about body language and you need to listen to your body, and there's a thing called embodiment that is coming out more and more. When I started my Hakomi training in the late 90s, I think, um, it was still fairly new. People knew about it, but most people knew about it as the trauma work from Peter Levine or Hakomi. I'm sure there's other ones too, but that was kind of, I think, the beginning of it. And now it is so much more developed and available through other methods. And it is probably because it is important. At least to me, it is vitally important. Most people that I know, even though they have done a lot of deep inner work and a lot of spiritual work, a lot of meditation, oftentimes there is still this vital piece missing called body language. And it kind of goes deep in it is a felt sense of something that we feel inside and that make us say yes or no, or stay or go, or hold back or flow. I got three little rhyming pieces in here, I noticed. And there is a wisdom in us, an intelligence that is our true being. We still believe that we are this body, we are this mind, we are this identity called, and then put your name behind it. But this is not who we truly are. We can say that is a role we play. I talked about this. It's like a theater we're in, and we have taken on the roles. You can go back and listen to the triangle, the drama triangle with perpetrator, victim, and excuse me, and rescuer. That seems to be where most of us find ourselves. But it's only until we start listening deeply into our body, then we can realize these are that triangle thing and so many other things, that those are just roles we play on a stage. I think that's what Shakespeare said, right? And it is really true, but it is only true in our experience when we go in and realize who and what we are, and that we can observe the roles we play and the genders we play and the callings. I mean, all the things that we do out there, they are roles, and we are deeply identified with them. And we are programmed to believe them. It's like a program that we follow. So many different kinds of programming. There's cultural programming. There's definitely religious programming. I mean, it's endless, but they are all programs that we choose to play a role in on the stage of life. So when you start turning inside and you start meeting these places inside that have been suppressed in favor of what the program tells us, like you should and you can't feel that, and there's all this suppression and contraction around that, and that does not give space for our true divine expression to come forth. In my experience, it really starts with the absolute basics of a yes and a no. And there is a space in between where we don't know, where we don't know yet. That is a very valid place too, that many people try and force a yes or a no on. And it can be uncomfortable. I'm actually right now in a situation where my little kitty who was sitting here yesterday, she needs to be put down, and she has some issues that it's not going to get better. And so I'm in this place, is it now? Should I wait? But the bottom line is I don't know. And when I learned this space of not knowing is many years ago, when I had another cat who was in a situation, shall I put him down or shall I not put him down? Shall I wait? Shall I do it now? But in that process, I got it. I just got it. And it was a huge gift that this space called I don't know, and then I put yet, I don't know yet, because we will know. Because suddenly we know. It's like the ebb and the flow. We know that it's going to happen, and there's knowing and not knowing. So at some point, we will just know. Like I will just know, okay, it's now, or I'm going to wait. Suddenly there will be something that tells me. And I have learned to trust that, although I must say it's very hard when it's a little furry one that is so innocent and precious. Of course, I don't want her to suffer in any way. So that's my dance right now, and it's challenging for sure. But there are other times where it may not be involving a being and suffering, but so we can start practicing, to feel inside. And this is, I would highly recommend if you are not very familiar with your body language yet. It is so simple once you start feeling it, but it's so difficult when you're up in your head trying to figure it out because you can't figure it out up here. You have to go down and feel it in here. And when we go down, we always meet these parts that are still unintegrated, that are still being rejected or judged or not loved, right? We have to meet them and start listening to them. And those are, they're like the key to learning where we have not listened to a no and said yes when we really didn't want to do it. And then we squashed the no and we went ahead and said yes. And then we suffer and we get resentful. And, then that whole drama triangle starts because we're doing it to ourselves, right? We're a perpetrator to the part that says no. And then becomes a victim. And then at some point, we have to come and rescue all the parts inside that we have been perpetrating and victimizing. Seems to be like that way. But in the meantime, please take some time and learn your body language. It's so important, and life is so much easier. But we have to learn to trust it. So I start with a yes and a no. We're going to leave the I don't know out there for now. So a yes, think about something that you really want, that you like. Could be an ice cream, or it could be a green smoothie, or it could be going dancing, or whatever it is. It's something that gives you a sense of, right? There's an energy, you move forward, you expand, you feel a joy and aliveness. Then you can start trusting that when you feel this, and it's obvious, we do it all day long, but we don't think about it. And then when we come to situations where it might be more important than an ice cream, then we can suppress it because we have not learned to honor that natural language. So then there's the no, and the no is usually you start moving back a little bit, you contract, you tighten your jaws, or you'll notice there's an inward going where the yes is an expansive outward going. That is a simple sign where you start listening to your body. There's a wisdom, there is an energy, because if you think about the yes, where you go expanding, what is that? What is that? We normally don't question that or wonder, like, what is that makes my body go like this, and what is this thing where I contract and I don't feel good? What is that? And we need to question that in an open, curious way. It's like, well, that's interesting. What makes this expand when I think of that? And what makes this contract when I think of that? That is how, in my experience, how the wisdom of the body, our divine wisdom, it's like a GPS, literally. There's something that says, go left, go right, go forward, go backwards, uh, go through that door, close that door. There is something in here that is very wise and very, very clear when you learn to listen to that. And in my experience, that is how the divine guides itself through this dimension as something that looks like a pernilla, me. So there is something much, much bigger than this shell or this outer wrapping that runs it all. But we have a tendency to ignore that and suppress it and go up here where the programming is. This is where we have been programmed for a very, very long time, basically to put us out of touch, to disengage us from this flow, from this natural divine flow and expression. So if your mind always tells you, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, or tell whatever it does, and runs your life, then you're probably not in tune with the natural divine flow, as I call it. My website is called Divine Feminine Flow. Feminine, there's more flow to it. There's more expansion and movement in it. I used to work more with women, but it's just the divine flow. Call it whatever you want. You put any color or quality inside of it. It's all the divine flow. So that's how I learned it. And I learned it by ignoring it many, many years ago, where I had a clear no, but I said yes because I let myself talk into a yes because I didn't know I could trust this yet. And that put me through the ringer for 5 months. It was an absolute hell experience. And it took me many years to figure out what had happened. And then I started seeing, oh, I didn't know what this was. I felt the no. And I remember I said no in this situation that ended me up in hell for 5 months. But I just didn't know I could trust it. I didn't know that it was okay to say no, that I knew myself better than whatever this person said. I was young. I didn't have that backbone like I do now. So this is why learning the language of the body is very essential. That keeps you in the divine flow and it will guide you where you need to go. And then what's it called? The 40 day in the desert, I think it's called. That's many times when we just don't know. It feels like everything is dried up. There's no inspiration. There's no clarity. You're just in this, blah state. It's awful. I've been there many times, but I've also learned to just wait and wait and wait until suddenly there is a knowing again, a yes or a no, or whatever it is. And the tendency is that we jump into a yes or a no, or a do or a don't before it's time. And I have done that many times. It took me quite a bit of discipline and practice to just say, no, I will only go with the flow within. And then when temptations come, it's like, well, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to do this. It was not satisfying. Sometimes I know we have to because of time constraint and, deadlines and whatnot. But there are many times where we can literally take the time and say, and I've said this so many times, when people want something from me, they want an answer right away. I said, give me a little time. I want to just sit with this and feel into it, and I'll get back to you. That took me many years to feel courageous enough to be so bold and so confident in myself, just to say, I want to stay with my own experience and I'll get back to you. And I still do that. And it's wonderful. Then I know I'm always in my flow, even though it may not look like it. I've also learned to not have any projections around what it's supposed to look like. It's just a letting go and a surrendering. But what I surrender into is that divine flow that I have learned to trust and love and be so grateful for. And then from there, let it guide me. And I don't even know how people live without that inner guidance. I truthfully, I can't like, wow, what is it like? Well, it would be like living from in here, which I did most of my life. Well, maybe not most anymore, but a big deal of my life. And it was awful. There was this second guessing and doubting and trying to control and manipulate and figuring it out. Awful, at least for me. But now it's much easier here and just to say, it's just not right for me. I can't feel it, or it's like, no, I know that wouldn't be right for me, or whatever it is, learning that language, it's important. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful language to learn. It's a wonderful divine tool that will always keep you moving because you have this sense like, oh, I want to go there, or I want to listen to that one, or something. There is a sense of yes or expansion or no and contraction. And then there's a lot of nuances in that too. And those you will learn over time when you start, listening to the first ABCs. Then eventually you get a lot more letters of the alphabet, and then you're dancing more with the flow. So give that a try, my friends. I highly recommend it. If you need help with that, please reach out. You can always set up a time with me for a self-discovery session, and then we can do a little exploration and see what kind of support you might need. And of course, if I would be the right support for you. All right. Have a blessed day and take some time and check out that yes and no inside.